So with that, we're going to jump back to our VS Code. So when we run this, our X, our input, is going to be fed to this CV1, to this convolution. So let's do that. And now we're here in the convolution. So here, as we've seen before, we're going to perform the convolution operation with the weights and biases, and then we'll apply the activation right after that. And that will bring us to here again, because we'll perform this operation, and now we're going to feed our tensor to the bottleneck layers. So this just got performed, and now we're going to perform M, which is the sequential of the bottlenecks. So when we run that, we're going to jump to right here, to the bottlenecks. And now we're here, and then in the bottlenecks, we have CV1, CV2, and add. So we have CV1, CV2, and then add is equals to true, because add is basically the shortcut. So the shortcut was true, and then add is equal to true. And what that is going to do is we'll perform this operation right here. We'll feed the input through the first convolution, and then that will be fed to the second convolution, and then we will add this skip connection residual path. So the X is the input, and that will be added to the result of the bottleneck, since we have add to true. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the skip connection. So when we run that, we perform this operation, which is a conf class. So we'll return. And now we're going to perform this CV2 operation, which is another conf class, as you can see. And then we return. And now we're going to perform this addition. We're going to add X to it. And now we're in conf again, because now we're performing the operations for bottleneck 1. So we did bottleneck 0. We did these operations right here. And given that the output of bottleneck 0 is the input to bottleneck 1, that's why we're inside conf. We're inside CV1. So we run that. And we perform this operation. Now we're going to enter into conf to perform CV2. Now we're back here, and now we're going to add the input to bottleneck 1 through this skip connection. And then the moment I run this, now we're going to jump into bottleneck 2. And that will be this conf class here for bottleneck 2. In conf, we perform CV1 for that bottleneck. Now we're going to perform CV2. Now we return, and now we're going to add the input to bottleneck 2 with the residual path. And now we've completed the bottleneck. And now we're back to C3, since we've completed the bottleneck layers. The output of bottleneck 2 now is going to be the input to this concatenation, but before, we need also the output of CV2, which is the one right here. So we perform these operations. In order to concatenate, now we have to perform self CV2. So basically, when I run this, we'll be jumping to conf as well for this operation. So let me run that. We're in conf, perform this operation, and we'll return to C3. And now we're going to concatenate the result of this output with this output. And we're going to concatenate it, as we said, in dimension 1, which in our case, that dimension is for the number of output channels. And it has to be in this order. The output coming from the bottlenecks, and then the output coming from CV2 and dimension 1, which you can also see here. You have this sequential. So we have this one, 1 by 64 by 160 by 160. And then here, the result of CV2, 1 by 64 by 160 by 160. When we concatenate that, the result will be 1 by 128 by 160 by 160. So we'll run that. You can see now that X has these dimensions. And then we're inside conf because we're performing this operation right here. When we run that, we're back to C3. So when that is run, then we will be back to YOLO right here. So right now, X is still negative 5.5. negative 5.5. And then the moment we run this, x will be this value, 0.17 and negative 0.27, 0.17 and negative 0.27. And then y will be none, since we're using the output to this class here and not for the neck. So we'll run that, and then we can step over that. And then here, of course, we have the features for that C3, which we can go and take a look. And then here we have the results of the C3 module. So right now we're coming out of the C3 module right here. And what we're going to do now is step over each of the following stages all the way to the input to SPPF. So the moment we run this, C3 will become a conf class, as you can see here, since we're about to enter into this stage. So I'm going to step over it since we have already covered conf classes previously. And now we're here, ready to enter into this C3 module. So the moment I run this, M will be a C3 module. And again, I'm going to step over it since we have already covered the C3 module. And now we're here, ready to enter into this conf class. So again, I'm going to step over this conf class, then another C3, then another conf class and another C3 until we are right here. So let's do that. And we are now here, ready to enter in the SPPF module. So if I run this, you can see that now M is this module.